Hello everyone, I'm Daichi Morimoto from Human Robot Interaction Lab at Kyoto University. Today I'll be talking about our research on the strategy of a robot handling customers with unreasonable complaints. In this future, it is expected that robots will work as a shop clerks, but they face some problems that are difficult to handle. One of them is malicious customer make unreasonable complaints.
ちょっとこの間買ったやつすっごいまずかってんけど、こんなん絶対おかしい、こんなん売らない方がいいよ。だからお詫びにこれとこれ全部タダにしてもらえる？いいよね。
The point is that handling unreasonable complaints are very stressful and difficult for shop clerks. Unreasonable complaints are complaints that shops cannot solve at all. In the Japanese field survey, 70% of surveyed employees experience some form of harassment from customers, and 70.5% of these employees that had unreasonable complaint felt very stressed. So we studied strategies for the robot to handle customers that make unreasonable complaints. What could we do to solve that problem? First, we propose method number 1. In the method number 1, robot apologizes again and again until the customers are satisfied. This is a general method, so many people think of this method to handle such a situation. But in the preliminary experiment, the strategy doesn't work because they repeat same things over and over and the customer doesn't get satisfied. Is there any strategy better than this method? We conducted an interview survey. The interviews were 10 people who had experience working in the service industry, and they experienced an encounter with a customer making unreasonable complaints. 6 of 10 interviewees said that they provide explanation to the customer. 5 of 10 interviewees said that they apologize to the customer. 4 of 10 interviewees said they confirmed the topic of the complaint with the customer. They are not much different from method number 1. On the other hand, 2 of 10 interviewees said that they asked some questions to gather more information in order to help resolve the complaint. Based on the interview survey, we propose method number 2. In the method number 2, a robot doesn't apologize until the customer is ready to listen. So the robot recognizes if the customer is ready to listen or not. The robot asks some question when the customer is not ready to listen. The robot apologizes and provides explanation when the customer is ready to listen. This is a summary of the design of 2 behavior models. We call the method number 1 baseline and method number 2 proposed. Both of them have 5 phases: listen, confirm, apologize, explain, and conclusion. The biggest difference is the proposed robot doesn't move on to the next phase until the customer is ready to listen. We made the hypothesis that the proposed model was more effective than the baseline robot. To investigate the effectiveness of the proposed model, we conducted a user study. And these pictures show the experimental environment made to look like a mobile phone shop. We recruited 30 participants through our agency. We used within subject design with a counterbalance order. At the end of each interaction, the participant answered 4 questions in the questionnaire. After the experiment, the participants are interviewed. The interview was semi-structured. In this experiment, the robot and participant do a role play, and an operator was in charge of the robot because we focus on the effectiveness of the proposed model. The operator recognizes if the customer is ready to listen or not and chooses the robot dialogue from a list we prepared. In this experiment, the participants behave as malicious customers and make unreasonable complaints until they are persuaded. Now, let me show an example when the baseline robot handles the customer.
大変申し訳ありませんが、そのようなことまで聞かれます。
俺の話真面目に聞いてる？なんでそういう、お客様目線でさ、立ってさ、こうお客様に対するサービスをもつしようとかそういう姿勢がさ、見られへんの？
As you can see, the baseline robot can't make the customer satisfied. Next, let me show another example when the proposed robot handles the customer.
俺バカにしやがる。なんで俺バカにされたんだよ。 あんたらがさ、あれこれさ、これがいい、あれがいいって、俺、その数さ、交わした携帯がさ、曲がりせてさ、俺めっちゃ傷ついたわけよ。傷ついたわけよ。わかる？あんたの責任やろ。どないしてくれんの？
At the beginning of the experiment, the customer started to make unreasonable complaints and he looks angry. In the proposed method, the robot asks some questions until the customer is ready to listen.
返却して、お金全部返してほしいんです。
ご友人様にどのようなところを脱会と言われましたか？詳しくお伺いしてもよろしいでしょうか？
このボタンの部分がダサいって言われた。
はい。
After the robot asked a few questions, the customer calmed down. So the robot recognized customer is ready to listen and went to the next phase. Then the robot explained that they cannot accept the customer's complaint, just like the baseline robot.
恐れ入りますが、無料の機種変更はできないことになっています。
無料はあかんの。はい、わかりました。
The customer interacting with the proposed robot looks more satisfied than those interacting with the baseline robot. This is a plot showing the average scale of perceived diligence, satisfaction, and overall evaluation for each of the two conditions. We asked 4 questionnaire items, and here I show 3 of them. The score of perceived diligence and satisfaction is significantly increased when using the proposed model. That means the proposed robot gives the impression that it is trying to find a solution and gives the customer a more satisfying customer support experience. By contrast, there is no statistical difference for the score of overall evaluation. In the post-experimental interview, we asked the people who preferred the baseline robot. They expected the robot could really solve the complaint when the robot asked some questions, but they felt disappointed when they understood the robot couldn't do it. To conclude my talk, let me summarize our research. First, handling malicious customer is stressful and difficult for the shop clerks, so we proposed a model for the robot to handle customers with unreasonable complaints. The key point of our proposed method is that a robot doesn't apologize and provide explanation to the customer until the customer is ready to listen. We conducted a user study to check the effectiveness of the model. A user study supported the hypothesis that the proposed model is effective in terms of perceived diligence and satisfaction. In the experiment, an operator was in charge of the robot recognizing if the customer is ready to listen or not, so we automate straight recognition as our future work. And we also plan to fix the customer handling system to improve not only perceived diligence and satisfaction, but also overall evaluation. Thank you.